Hello, and welcome to the allure of fashion and the intrigue of great books. Lights, camera, action. Get ready for a behind the scenes look at fashion, fiction, and the mysteries they hide, from Hollywood to novels. That's why I'm wearing my Hollywood t-shirt. Hang on to the end of the interview to find out how you may win one of Marjorie's books, our guest. I'm your host, Wendy Kendall. I'm a mystery and romance author who loves fashion, and I have big news. My sixth book, an in pursuit mystery with Katherine Watson, is Don't Shoot the Messenger Bag, and it releases February 18th. It'll be available for pre order in December on Amazon, Barnes& Noble, Target, and other online book sites. I can't wait for you to read it. I'm thrilled with the mystery, the story, and the fashion highlights. So much fun to write. It's where fashion sense meets criminal intent. In the meantime, enjoy my other books available in bookstores and on Amazon and other online sites. And you can find out more on my website, wendywritesbooks.com. Then watch for my new book release, Don't Shoot the Messenger Bag. It's the perfect accessory to murder. Today's guest lived 25 years in Los Angeles as a key member of the costume design teams for a string of successful movies that includes Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, A Bronx Tale, The Firm, Wag the Dog, The Aviator, Hairspray, Angels and Demons, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and X-Men Days of Future Past. She brings the experiences of her professional background in film to her writing, giving readers a look at Hollywood that's different from what's seen on the red carpet. Her gripping Hollywood mystery series is set behind the scenes in the everyday working world of movies in production. Her debut novel, Final Cut, introduces us to Joey Jessup, a key costumer with a sharp eye for detail and a knack for uncovering secrets stitched into the seams of the film industry. This book is followed by her book, Starstruck. With decades of experience dressing characters for the screen, Marjorie brings a rare authenticity to her fiction, weaving fashion into her storytelling, not just as backdrop, but as a narrative force. Whether she's crafting a red carpet moment or high stakes whodunit, her work is rich with texture, tension, and insider insight. Welcome, Marjorie McCown, in pursuit of fashion and fiction.
Well, thank you for having me. I am honored to be your guest. I love your writing, I love your podcast, and I'm so happy to be here with you.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, Marjorie, would you tell us about what attracted you to writing mysteries? And would you introduce us to your amateur sleuth, Joey Jessup, in your books Final Cut and Starstruck?
Sure. Well, I've always loved puzzles, and I've enjoyed reading mysteries for as long as I can remember. And I know that it's that love of reading them that finally led me to want to write my own. Um, she is an important member of the costume design team. And she is a key costumer on big budget Hollywood movies. She serves as a bridge between the costume department, where the clothing, the costumes are being made and prepared and fitted on the actors, and the world of the set, where the film is actually being shot. And she is hardworking, she's creative, she is very detail oriented, and she is a relentless problem solver and researcher. If she's looking for something, she's not going to stop until she finds exactly what she's searching for, whether that's an historical fact or a specific kind of fabric, or maybe the the perfect artisan to build a particular custom piece of clothing. Um, she lives in a trailer on the beach in Malibu,
Mm.
which gives her a nice break, a nice balance from the fast pace of the studio, which she loves her job, but she's grateful to be able to get away to the peace of being at the ocean side. And at the beginning of Final Cut, which is book number one, she is in the process of healing after a painful breakup the year before. But when she suddenly becomes a suspect in a coworker's murder, then she finds that she needs to draw on the skills she has at work, her ingenuity, her eye for important details, and her determination to keep digging until she finds the truth.
Ooh. Well, Joey's eye for detail often doubles as a survival skill. How did you craft her observational powers? Were they drawn from your own time on the set?
Oh yes, yeah. They were completely from my years working in film. One of the first lessons I learned as a costume designer for film is that the camera sees everything. Uh, Early in my career, one of my colleagues said, "Now remember, that shirt collar you're putting on the leading actor is going to be 6 feet tall on the screen when he's in close up." And so,
Oh.
I never forgot that. And that trained my eye to notice even the smallest mismatch. And over time, that just becomes an automatic way of seeing. It's like having a built-in radar for anything that's visually off or out of proportion. And it's kind of the perfect training for a mystery sleuth. So I gave that way of seeing to Joey.
I love that. Oh, like you say, it just becomes natural
It
then.
just becomes the way you look at the world.
So
And
it's
you
very,
can't turn it off.
very realistic then. It's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Marjorie, your impressive background in costume design brings such texture to your novels.
Oh,
What's
thank you.
one moment when fashion unlocked a character for you?
That's such a good question. When I was doing the research for the costumes for Benjamin Button, we needed a signature look for Kate Blanchett's character of Daisy when she is uh, a young woman in the 1940s, when she goes to New York City with dreams of becoming a ballerina. And we did. We needed the signature look for that point in the film for her. And that led me to the work of a designer from that period named Claire McCardle. And she's often credited as the inventor of American sportswear. She pioneered the idea of mix and match separates. So thank you, Claire. Um, as a young designer, McCardle went to Paris, but instead of getting her inspiration from couture, she looked to art and Parisian street style. And so her clothing was always very youthful and modern and practical. And at the same time, it had an understated chicness about it that made it classic. And it was the perfect style for Kate
Oh,
Blanchett's character at
yeah,
that point in the film. So, without question, finding the work of Claire McCardle unlocked that character for me.
fascinating. Well,
Yeah, it's interesting where research will take you, at places you didn't expect to go. And then, oh my goodness, I didn't even know, this, I had never heard of her before. So I'm sure you've had those experiences too.
it's so fun when that happens.
So fun.
In your Hollywood mystery series, how do you balance industry realism with fictional suspense?
Oh, well, I think that I feel like I'm very lucky that the film industry provides me with such a broad canvas and such a variety of characters and situations because Really, it is a world unto itself. And you can meet the most extraordinary people. And literally anything can happen. So, really, it's more a matter of using my imagination to build on experiences that I've had working with literally thousands of different people all over the world um, during those years. And uh, I've just lost my train of thought.
Oh,
Um, so building on my imagination, that's where I was going with this. So sometimes I'll write a scene that is almost like a direct transcription of something that has happened to me.
uh-huh.
And sometimes I'll find that I will start with the situation, but then I'll ask myself, well, what if we just turn up the dial a little bit?
Mm.
And that gives me the opportunity to root it in something that feels real to me, but then gives me a lot of latitude to ramp up the tension and suspense.
My two favorite words, what if? I love
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
Well, you've designed for films like The Aviator and Benjamin Button. How did those period pieces shape your sense of visual storytelling in fiction?
That's a really good question. Um, I've always thought of myself as a storyteller. I just
Mm.
started out on the visual side because costume design is really about storytelling. Everything that we do, whether it's a decision about fabric or color or silhouette, it's always in service of the story and the world of the film. So when I write fiction, what working on period films like The Aviator and Benjamin Button taught me is that we don't necessarily need to recreate history when we are telling a story, but we can use it interpretively to support the emotional truth of, in the visual case, in costume design, the emotional truth of the film. Or when I'm writing fiction, I will start the same way. I'll imagine a scene visually, and uh, I'll see in my mind the textures and the light and the people and the surrounding, the landscape, the room. But then I will do my best to choose from those elements and bring them to the page in a way that's going to reveal who those characters are and reveal the emotional truth of the scene and the purpose of the scene in the story.
That's so important, the purpose of the scene. And obviously, you get to know your characters so very well, don't you?
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they talk to you, don't they? They
Yes.
say, no, I don't want to do that. Or how about this? I don't want to do that, but how about this? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they help shape the story. You get to know them so well that they do help you shape the story.
it's so true. Fashion in fiction often signals like a transformation for a character in a story. What's one moment in your books where clothing marked a turning point?
There is a scene early on in Final Cut where Joey comes back to the costume department to do some fittings after a very traumatic morning on set. There's been a serious accident, and she's worried about her injured colleague. And she's also beginning to sense that the working environment of the entire production is not as safe as it should be.
Mm.
So costume fittings are the format where she feels grounded and creative. It's one of her favorite parts of the job is doing a costume fitting. But in this case, she can't get settled into the work. And so the clothing and the setting of the fitting become symbolic because something that should feel familiar and comfortable is signaling to her that there's been a shift And that is the moment in that book where she starts to transform from a costumer who's just doing the job that she loves to someone who realizes she needs to be more aware and on guard about everything that's going on around her.
Wow. Yes. Oh my gosh. Marjorie, would you treat us to a reading from one of your books?
Sure. I'm going to read from Final Cut.
Okay.
Um, And we know that Joey is used to the pressures of big budget movies, the long hours and the big egos and the constant changes to schedules, but nothing really prepares her for what happens early on in Final Cut at the end of the first day of principal photography for a new superhero movie she's working on. June 21st, 8:10 p.m. Joey felt frustrated. She was late getting back to the shoot. By this time, nearly an hour after wrap, most of the movie crew had packed up and gone home after what had been a long, discouraging day. As key costumer, Joey usually started the morning on set, then ended her day at one of the specialty shops and made clothing for the film, or one of a dozen other tasks that went with her job. But tonight was different. She'd made the long drive back to the shooting location in Malibu because she wanted to talk to Courtney in person. And even though she wasn't looking forward to the conversation, she wished she'd made it back before wrap. The second AD hadn't answered her texts, and now Joey worried she'd missed the chance to do damage control, to smooth over the tension between them after their flare up on set earlier that day. The hectic pace of the movie had everybody on edge, but their confrontation could threaten the costume department's entire working relationship with the assistant directors. And if she couldn't talk to the second AD without starting a fight, it was game over. Assistant directors are like air traffic controllers on a movie. Without them, everybody crashes into everybody else, literally and figuratively. Alienate the ADs, and you're just asking for trouble. The costume department already had enough problems in this movie between the lack of prep time, late casting, and a director with an ego as big as his box office grosses. Making an enemy of the second AD wasn't an option. The thought sent a shiver through Joey, and she picked up her pace. When she didn't find Courtney in the AD trailer, she continued her circuit of the movie's base camp, asking everyone she passed if they'd seen the second AD. Well, she was by the cafe set last I saw her, but that was a while ago, one of the grips said. Joey headed for the Paradise Cove Cafe up by the beach. All the actors' trailers nearest the set were dark and closed up for the night. She tried the back door of the cafe, but it was locked, so she peered through the windows. A single work light remained on, but there was no sign of anyone inside. The cafe apparently deserted now that the day's filming was done. The sun was low in the sky, dipping toward the ocean. The longest day of the year. And that's exactly what it felt like to Joey. She'd run out of places to look. Anxiety tugged at her. Her relationship with Courtney was complicated, like it is whenever your ex is dating somebody new. And she knew she had to be honest with herself about the way her personal feelings may have clouded their interactions. With daylight dying over the water, she stepped onto the beach, hoping to feel a scrap of the serenity she always found in the natural rhythm of the breaking waves, like a favorite refrain, a golden oldie that just gets better with time. At the water's edge, she noticed a pile of clothing, buffeted by the incoming tides cutting across the sand. Her first thought was that one of the extras had abandoned their costume, but that didn't make any sense. As the sun dropped out of the sky, she took a few steps closer to investigate, at the same time as a larger wave swept aside what she'd taken for coils of kelp, swirling around that bundle of fabric. Horror sliced through Joey like a scalpel. She stumbled and fell to her knees. Courtney Lyle lay motionless in the shallow water at the shoreline as the cold blue Pacific surf washed over her body.
Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you for that reading. Wow.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that it starts out with this fabulous glimpse into Hollywood life and then right into
Boom.
mystery. Wow.
That's just her troubles are just beginning.
I love it. I love it. How has your experience in Hollywood shaped your sense of pacing and dialogue in scenes?
Mm. Well, I have definitely been influenced by some of the screenwriters I've worked with, um, especially John Sayles, who I mean, he's a wonderful director, but he's an even better screenwriter. I remember reading um, the screenplay for Apollo 13 for the first time, and it's an historical document. I mean, we know what happens at the
Yeah.
end. And still, because of the way John Sayles writes, when I was reading that screenplay for the first time, and I knew that all these guys, I mean, Jim Lovell, Commander Jim Lovell, was our technical advisor on the film. So I knew he got back safe to Earth. But still, my palms were sweating when they were re-entering and there was radio silence and, everybody wasn't sure if they were burning up or they were going to get through the atmosphere and land in the ocean. So, and David Mamet, his screenplay for Wag the Dog affected. And the first time I read um, the screenplay for Forrest Gump, Eric Roth's screenplay, and he was also the screenwriter for Benjamin Button.
Ah,
And those guys, all of them, just their writing has influenced me as much as, and I revere many fiction writers too, modern and, from the past. But those screenwriters have influenced me just as much. And especially since screenplays are mostly dialogue.
mm,
So there's hardly any background, any exposition or there's very little stage direction, very little, the setting will be like three words, interior, level living room. That's all you'll get about what the interior is. So it's almost all dialogue. And so I would say that's how Hollywood influenced me in terms of dialogue and pacing.
God, those are such great examples too. That's really
Yeah,
fantastic.
no, I mean, great writing. Great
Yeah,
writing.
that's fantastic. Well, I wanted to talk for just a minute about purses as portals to character because,
Yay.
purses is my thing, my
And they
special thing.
are, aren't they?
That's my special thing. So, purses in fiction, they're not just accessories, they're emotional landscapes, status symbols, and secret keepers. And you can reflect on how a character's choice of bag and what's carried in it reveals fears, desires, identity, and yes, personality. From the pristine clutch that hides a weapon to the overstuffed tote that holds a life in chaos, purses become narrative tools. In mystery novels, purses often carry more than lipstick, phone, wallet, and keys. They carry motive. They're the last thing a character grabs before fleeing, or the first thing a detective searches. In Marjorie's final cut, fashion isn't just backdrop, it's evidence. I kept wondering, what would Joey Jessup find if she opened the wrong purse at the right time? I'm going to read just a couple of paragraphs from Cat Out of the Bag about this kind of topic. So let me
I
see.
love that book. I love your book.
Oh, thank you. All right. Catherine nods to her friend. Always, I enjoy the artistry of matching design to women's needs for functionality and lifestyle, a design for every personality. Women like different styles, but you think their purses match their personality in some way? Cynthia asked. Catherine slid her fingers smoothly along the edge of her briefcase as she answered, yes. If you think about it, you can read clues about a person when you look at what she's carrying. Cynthia laughed and teased Catherine to prove her skills in purse and personality matching. Okay, you're on. Read a purse for me here at the library. Tell me what the purse says about the person. Okay, let me look around, but I don't want to be too obvious. Catherine, enthusiastic to play, grabbed a book and moved closer to Cynthia. She held the book up as if pointing out a paragraph, and then she gave furtive glance at nearby library patrons. And it's a fun little game they play. But in the mystery, it's not always a game. So the next time you meet a character on the page, ask yourself, what's in her bag? And what does she hope that no one ever finds? Marjorie, the fashion in Final Cut isn't just aesthetic. Are there differences between designing fashion and designing costumes?
Oh, pardon me, I think so. Well, I mentioned before that costume design is really about storytelling, and I think that's one of the biggest differences. Not that there isn't a story behind fashion, there is, but it's usually the designer's personal story or vision. Whereas with costume design, we're helping actors embody characters in a story that's already been written. So the screenplay creates the world of the film, and everything that we do as designers needs to support that world and those characters and that story. Um, and I think another difference is the kind of collaboration and the amount of collaboration that go into both processes, because in costume design, we're always working very closely with the director, the cinematographer, the production designer, and of course the actors. Um, we're working together as a big creative team to create a shared vision together. And it's not that there isn't collaboration in fashion, but it's a very different kind of process.
What's one costume you designed in your real life job that could have belonged to one of your fictional characters?
I had to think a long time about this question because my books are set in modern day Hollywood, but most of my film career was on projects that were period or fantasy. So this is a little bit of a cheat, but in Starstruck, Joey's working on a film that's set in the 1930s in the golden age of Hollywood. And in one scene, the leading lady makes a grand entrance in this gorgeous bias cut silk charmeuse evening gown. That's a real showstopper. And coincidentally, it looks very similar to a gown we designed for Gwen Stefani to wear as
Oh,
Jean Harlow in The Aviator.
wow,
so,
that's awesome.
so that's a costume that came directly out of my film career and went straight into Joey's world in the book.
Ah. Well, Marjorie McCown, thank you so much for sharing this fashion and fiction journey with us. What's coming up next for your readers to look forward to?
I am working on a new Hollywood mystery, but instead of being set mostly on the set, it's more focused on the creative developmental phase of a film before it goes in front of the cameras. And the working title is Poisoned Beauty. And I just finished the first draft and I'm looking forward to refining it. Time for rewrites,
Time for rewrites. Yes, I know that feeling.
but it's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, every aspect of writing it's got its own enjoyment. Yeah, I agree. Yes. Well, listeners, I do want to let you know that Marjorie's going to be giving away one of her books for free as a prize. And if you're the first to comment in on our YouTube, then please email me at wendywrites@yahoo.com and we will get your information then so that Marjorie can send you out a book. And thank you, Marjorie McCown, for sharing intriguing insights into your exciting books, Final Cut and Starstruck.
Oh, Wendy, thank you for having me. It's just been a complete delight to talk to you.
Oh, yes, I really enjoyed it. And listeners, you can access Marjorie McCown's website at marjoriemccown.com to see all her books, news, and events, and sign up for her fun newsletter and more. And her website address is also in our YouTube description, so you can just see it on the screen. And good luck. I hope you win one of her books. And you're invited also to my website, wendywritesbooks.com, to see my books, blog, podcasts, and explore more on fashion and fiction, and keep up on all my news, including exclusive clues about my new book, Don't Shoot the Messenger Bag. It's the perfect accessory to murder. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And join me next time for the allure of fashion and the intrigue of great books.